Smash Bros. Ultimate is one of the greatest games of all time. Not even just greatest Smash Bros. Game or the greatest fighting game. It is one of the greatest games of all time. With that being said, some of these characters really be pissing me off. And with Smash 6 potentially being on the horizon within the next year, 2 years, today I'm going to be counting down my 5 characters that I hope don't make it into the next game. Really, it's 4, but I have one honorable mention that I couldn't put on the list, which I'll get to right before we get to number 1. At my number 4 spot, we have Snake. Now, here's the thing. I know you guys like Snake for some reason. I don't know why. I never grew up with Metal Gear like that, so I don't really care for him, but he seems kind of cool, and he'd be like crouching around, he's got the grenades. It's a cool, interesting concept, right? But me personally, when I have to play against that character, it's worse than being in the 9th layer of hell. I hate Snake. And one of my biggest issues with Snake is that it feels like he's not really playing the game with me. And you're gonna see a common theme with these characters. They all seem to not really play Smash Bros with you. You're just doing their own thing, and then you just kind of have to figure it out or die. Whereas with me, I'm like dashing around, I'm short hopping, I'm getting my low aerials, I'm spacing my stuff, I'm looking for my dash grabs, my burst options, I'm playing the game, I'm playing neutral. Snake is literally playing with himself. Pause. He's not interested in fighting you or playing neutral with you. He is going to sit on the other side of the grenades, chink, chink, chink. He's gonna put a grenade, he's gonna throw them at you, and then the second you catch a grenade or you explode or you make any sort of mistake, he's just doing 1,000,000,000% to you and carrying you across the stage. And then when you're off stage, even though I really don't think Nikita is that big of a deal for the characters I play, Nikita is a big deal for just about every other character that tries to recover against Snake. It is so cringe trying to make it back onto stage against Nikita. Let's say you make it back from off stage and you make it to the ledge. Now you have to deal with one of the most ridiculous ledge traps of all time, because not only is the most basic of Snake's ledge traps extremely effective, but he can do them in so many different ways that the mental stack becomes just too overwhelming for you to possibly keep up, and you just gotta start picking shit. And my last biggest issue with Snake is that it feels like the most optimal way of playing against them still feels really unfair. A lot of people think the best way to play against Snake is to just not get hit by any of his explosives. That's not true. The best way to play against Snake and what optimal Snake play looks like is by denying him the setup. So that means if you're able to run in there and Z catch a grenade and throw it back at him with, the risk of you exploding as well, so long as you have denied him the double grenade setup, you are playing the matchup optimally. But the issue is that you play the matchup optimally, and then you guys are both trading damage, you guys are both taking damage, and then you're supposed to kill him off landing. That is his one weakness, that he has a hard time landing. That is his one weakness. He has a hard time landing. But the entire time he's beer versing and dropping explosives from the sky. He's got 5 different explosives he's dropping on my head, and I just can't do anything. But the whole point is, despite all that, you're supposed to juggle him because that's his weakness, quote unquote, right? But if he makes it onto the ground and you're in last hit, being in last hit against Snake is genuinely impossible. There is no correct decision for you to make against Snake in last hit. He throws a grenade at you, you blow up. At some point, if you're at a high enough percent, you just die instantly. There's just nothing you can do. He's pelting you with grenades over and over again. You're like, oh, okay, he's pelting me with grenades. I'm just chill on the other platform and chill. It's like, wow, I really just cannot do anything. Not to mention, you got C4 looming around any part of the stage. You try to dash around, there, boom, you die. And then even if after all of that, you manage to make it right next to him, up to. It's just unplayable. He's so cringe, and it feels like every time I play against him, I need to be so much astronomically better of a player than my opponent for me to barely scrape out with a win, whereas the Snake player just slobbering all over their controller, and I just can't do anything. With that being said, he's still nowhere close to my most hated character in this game, because number 3 is Mr. Game & Watch. Now listen, right? I'm cool with a lot of different Game & Watch players, right? And that's the thing that makes me mad, right? The Game & Watch players, they tend to be really cool, really dope. nice people. Shout out my homie Dust. But I can't stand playing against you, bruh. It's so cringe. Nair. And the worst part is, it's not even like the entire Nair is like the broken part. Even though when he's rising with it and falling with it, it's extremely hard and hard to contest if you're not already there and haven't already placed an aerial into the air to like hit him, right? The issue is the landing hitbox. The landing hitbox is longer than my wingspan. I don't even know if you can see my wingspan on this camera right now. That's how big it is. Physically cannot represent it on camera. And if you can't see it, it's still not big enough. And if that landing hitbox hits you, that's when he connects 8 trillion%. If you're on any stage with a platform, just go to the ledge. Just say goodbye to trying to land on the stage. Landing on top of Game & Watch is essentially impossible. You've got falling up air, which is really hard to fast fall air dodge to, because you can't regular air dodge because he'll just hit you with another one because it just goes so fast and it goes so high. So you have to fast fall air dodge. And then if you fast fall air dodge into him, he up airs, reacts, up B, you're back in the air. So then you're like, oh, okay, let me go to the ledge. Let me not try and land on top of him, Greg. Let's go to the ledge. Where is the counterplay? The bacon ledge trap does take some time to set up and, you know, really get started. But if he does get it started, it's just over. Like, you just cannot do anything. It is literally a free neutral B into chair and you die. And in some cases, if he gets really good frame advantage, or you're playing a character that's really big, he can run up and he can hit you with the innermost part of his down smash. You might live the chair, you will never live the down smash. And the last thing about Game & Watch that really makes me mad, it just feels like even though he's light, he's still OD durable. You know what I mean? Is Game & Watch living to like 130? No. Is Game & Watch living to 150? No, he's not. He's dying around like 100, sometimes even as early as like 80%, 110, 115. He's dying like relatively early, or like relatively on average to most characters, right? Well, I guess most characters on the average die like 120, 130, honestly, like for long stocks. But you get what I'm trying to say. He dies relatively early compared to most other characters in the game, right? That's cool. But the issue is he just feels so durable because he's so hard to lock down. Because if you get anywhere close to him, or you land anywhere on his shield with anything that is remotely up safe, boom, up B. And then he's just gone. And then sometimes if you get hit by up B, he can combo it into a nair and then turn your situation where you were on top of him, closing the distance, into his advantage state where you take 1,000,000,000%, and you gotta play that landing game all over again. I don't know, bro. Maybe I also just have like a bit of an issue with fighting the character, or maybe it's just that like Robin doesn't do all that great. That's one of the characters I'm playing Palo against, you know, because I just don't feel like Robin Game & Watch is all that great. Even though I've been able to beat Game & Watch players with it, and I've been able to do well in that matchup with Robin, I just feel like Palo's gonna be better. So maybe it's part of that just trauma from playing Robin Game & Watch for years that's getting me. But it genuinely feels like that character is just incredibly unfair and just so simplistic and hard to punish. It just doesn't feel good playing against Game & Watch. But if you thought it felt bad to play against Game & Watch, it's never gonna feel good to play against this next character, because in our number 2 slot we have Kazuya. Oh brother. Kazuya embodies just about everything I hate about fighting games, right? And when I say fighting games, I mean like traditional fighting games. My issue with traditional fighting games is it feels like because you are limited to this flat plain platform and these 2 walls that you just can't really do anything, right? It feels like when you're playing against certain people, especially people that are better than you, you just get pushed into the corner and then they just mash moves on your block forever that are like really safe, or that are really unsafe, but you never know because they all look the fucking same. And then you just die. You eventually get hit by something and you get combo for all your health, and then you just die and you spend the entire game in the corner. And then it's not even like you get a chance to like get up after you get knocked onto the ground with like, you know, a quick tech or something. That's one of the things I love about Ultimate and just Smash Bros in general. When you get knocked onto the ground, you can actually do something. You can tech and get away and like find your way back into neutral. When you get knocked on the ground in a fighting game, it's even worse than just getting hit or just standing up. It's terrible. And Kazuya feels like he brings so many of these elements into Smash from other fighting games, right? Even though Tekken isn't like a normal 2D fighting game, I do understand that it's like a 3D thing or whatever. It still feels really bad. Firstly, you can't block against Kazuya. Like, you can, but it's strongly discouraged because Electric just pushes you out of shield and there's barely any sort of frame loss for it. He just kind of like electrics you, pushes you out of the shield, and then like he just kind of moves immediately again. And it's just like, huh? And then if you have a character that doesn't have like an absurd recovery that covers an insane amount of distance, Gates of Hell will literally kill you at like 60%. I've literally watched Kazuya players get their opponents to 70% because they somehow miss a 0-to-death combo, which I'm about to get to in a second. And then they camp the corner, wait for Gates of Hell, they get the grab, they grab them, and if the grab doesn't outright kill them, they go laser. Zaps them off stage, they're dead at 70. There's absolutely nothing they can do, right? But the biggest issue I have with Kazuya is his 0-to-death combo, right? It's not necessarily that it's a combo that just kills you, right? That sucks. It's not really that big of a deal. There's lots of 0-to-deaths in Smash and across the years that don't bother me nearly as much as Kazuya, because all the other 0-to-deaths, they feel like they have some sort of inherent risk to it, right? Luigi, for his 0-to-death, even though like he can't really kill you off 0 off of a grab, he needs to grab you, right? If you have good SDI at 0, you won't die. It's more around like 5-7% that you actually should be scared about getting down through. That's when you actually can't do anything, right? But when you die to Luigi, you need to get grabbed, right? His grab, pretty laggy, leaves him very open. It's a grab, you know, it's a risk. Kazuya also has to get close to you, but Kazuya's move is not a grab. Kazuya's move is electric. Electric has what? I think it has almost full body invincibility. I think it's upper body invincibility, right? So you cannot trade with it. You cannot try and like, you know, hit it with an aerial and try and stuff it out. No, you cannot stuff out electric. If he presses electric and you press a move, you lost, period. That's it. And when he electrics you, he puts you in an insane amount of hit stun that makes the rest of his combo so incredibly easy, and he just shits out so much damage. So even if they somehow, by some stroke of luck, miss the combo, you're at 80% against Kazuya, right? He also has crouch dash, so he's constantly crouch dashing, spending a lot of time just completely invincible, by the way, or I guess technically it's upper body invincibility, but since his body is like this and the only thing facing you is his upper body, he might as well be full body invincible. He can go from the crouch dash and then he can enter electric immediately, and while he isn't invincible the entire time, the window between him being invincible, not invincible, and invincible again is way shorter than you might think, to the point where he can literally invincible through projectiles, invincible through other moves. And the thing that really ties the character all together to be this coalescence of just toxicity to me is Rage Drive. If you somehow manage to be beating the Kazuya player and outplaying him in every single interaction, because if you miss an interaction against Kazuya, you die. So even if you are outplaying him the entire time, he gets Rage Drive, a command grab that will kill you at 80%, does like 40% on its own, has super armor, and it goes literally like across a platform's length. Why is the grab range so big, bro? Oh my god, I hate Kazuya. But not as much as I hate our #1 spot. But before we get to our #1 spot, I have to give you an honorable mention. And that honorable mention is Samus. Here's the thing about Samus. This list is about the top 5 characters that I hope are not in the next game, right? If Samus wasn't a part of this class of characters being the original 12 or original 16, I think it's original 12, meaning that she's going to be in every single Smash game, Samus would be #1. And it wouldn't even be relatively close. If you ask me for real, Samus is actually the character that I hope never makes it into this next game. But I understand she's going to be in the next game because she's Samus and she's been in every Smash game, especially the first one. And all the characters that have been in the first Smash game are pretty much untouchable. They're here to stay no matter what. But if Samus was not in that protective class of characters, best believe she would be 100% my #1 pick. I hate Samus. It is so cringe how she just stands across the stage charging charge shot for the entire game, and then every time you get relatively close to her, you have to play some BS RPS. It's just not fun. It's just not fun. And even then, when you get on top of Samus, where she's supposed to be bad, and a lot of zoners in Ultimate have this problem, they hit you with some OD ridiculously fast move, and that completely just gets them out of jail free. For Samus, it's up B. Her up B is not incredibly large like Game Watch's up B out of shield is, but it's still pretty damn big, and it's really fast, and I'm just not a fan of it at all, especially because a lot of the best ways to get in on Samus is by jumping into her, because you can avoid grab, you can avoid charge shot that way, and you only have to play against Rising Fair. But if you somehow manage to jump in against her and you jump in with an aerial that isn't safe enough, or you just didn't mix it up enough and you don't like tomahawk her or whatever, sometimes even if you do try to tomahawk, they just up B anyways. But regardless, if you land on her unsafe with your shield, you up B. If you're hovering around her shield sometimes, just trying to scout something out, you might just get up B'd randomly. And sometimes the Samus players, when you get them at the ledge, you'll neutral get up and you have that really small window to grab neutral get up, they'll just up B immediately. Dude, but yeah, Samus is our honorable mention. If she wasn't in that protected class of characters, she would be #1. With that being said, my #1 pick for the character that I hope doesn't make it into the next Smash game is Olimar. And see, here's the thing about Olimar, right? You might be thinking, Greg, Olimar, that's so random. Like, who cares about Olimar? And that's my exact problem. Who cares about Olimar? But the biggest thing that my issue with him is he just feels like the literal perfect antithesis to my character, right? Robin against Olimar is probably one of the worst matchups you can play in this game, period. It feels like they created Robin to be countered by Olimar. It feels like Olimar as a character is the direct counter to Robin, and it just feels like one of the most unplayable matchups of all time. Olimar's a yellow pigment. If it attaches to Robin's hands, not only can she just not throw any thunder spells, but all of her 11 aerials are so incredibly, extremely slow because it makes them last way longer. It's extremely hard for Robin to get pigment off of her because for some reason, none of Robin's moves can really hit on all sides of her body and can effectively take off the pigment. So Robin's best bet is to run into the corner and just wiggle her shield for a little bit and just get grabbed by Olimar anyways, and then take a 50 billion% combo. Or she has to switch over to her bronze aerials, and then Robin's just mashing arrows in the corner. Olimar's like, mashing arrows in the corner that aren't hitting me, I bet. Free stage control. It is extremely hard to just kill the pigment in general. So you cannot kill any yellow pigment with any thunder spells or any 11 sword aerials. So yellow pigment, he's here to stay. Arc Thunder, one of Robin's best spells in her Thunder kit, doesn't kill any of the pigment. I can't really explain why. I think it's something about each tick of Arc Thunder doing less than like 1% or less than some threshold of percent, and that's why it doesn't kill the pigment. They just kind of fall out and they're just like, oh shit, I bet, I'm chilling. And it's just so incredibly cringe because eventually Olimar gets to this 2 purple, 1 yellow pigment state, and the game just simply becomes unplayable. He's really small, he's really hard to hit, his pigment do a ludicrous amount of damage over the course of the game, and he also just has combos like for no reason. And not to mention, again, he's got that smash ultimate thing. When you finally get in on him, what does he do? Whee! Whistle. And then what's even crazier about Whistle, not only does it combo break him out of your true combos, your combos that are supposed to be true but aren't true because he has Whistle, he can then reversal you off of your own combo. Every other character that I've said on this list does not reversal you out of your own combo, except for maybe Snake. Snake can kind of like pull out a grenade and then you'll hit the grenade, but really, he's not really reversaling you because you're just going higher and higher up and he's always above you. So if anything, he's really losing in that scenario, and the only reversal he's getting is a reversal of like damage. He's getting damage as you're damaging him, which is fine because you're supposed to juggle Snake. So you're technically playing the matchup optimally if that's happening. Against Olimar, okay, your combo is my combo now. And it's just so incredibly lame. And the only reason why I don't hate him more than Samus is because I feel like he is genuinely not a degenerate character. The other characters that I named on this list are extraordinarily degenerate. Like, it's mind-boggling to me, honestly. Olimar, he feels like a difficult character. There's a lot you need to learn about him, and he's got a lot going on. It's a lot to manage, and it's difficult to play the character. So at the same time, I have a mutual respect for all Olimar players. I think they're pretty skilled, and I think their character's pretty hard. He has a very steep learning curve, and he's kind of difficult to just make work. But me personally, whenever I fight that character, I want to gouge my eyes out. And that's why he's #1. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Brought back this like rant style type video. I know you guys really enjoyed the old like 3 reasons why I hate X character videos. So, I just decided to bring it back with this one. With the Switch 2 being announced and with Smash 6 potentially being on the horizon, I want to make more of these kind of videos where I just kind of talk about the state of the game and talk about the game. Let me know if you guys would like to see me do tournament recaps and stuff like that. I want to, put a lot more content on this YouTube channel. But yeah, thank you guys so much, by the way, for all the love you've been showing me on my socials, but especially on the Kaizo Ironman video. I put a lot of work into that. So if you like Pokemon, and you like Pokemon challenge runs and Nuzlocke and all that stuff, I highly suggest you check out that video after this one. Thank you so much for reaching to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. It truly does mean a lot. It really does help the channel as I'm trying to grow this YouTube and do this more and more often than anything else that I'm doing. Make sure you guys catch my Twitch, where I live stream multiple times during the week, on the weekends and on the weekdays. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.